Empty hearts and neon lights, they're playing with my mind. Gotta get out of here tonight.
To make this, guys, you need a pattern paper. You can have a white pattern paper or brown pattern paper. Next, you will need calculator. Next, you will need this pattern notcher. Is very, very important, and you're going to be needing it when you're done with your pattern making. Next, you will need your paper scissors, of course, your measuring tape, and some rulers. And of course, guys, you will need your eraser if you make any mistake, because I'm going to be using my pencil to do this. I like to use pencils first. If there's any mistake, I'll be able to erase it, so I'm ready for any of my mistakes. So make sure you always use your cleaner when you're using pattern paper. So guys, we're going to go ahead, and again, finally, you use any fabric of your choice, either satin, duchess, any fabric, damask, all those type of fabric. You can use them for this type of project. So I'm going to take all this aside, and we start with the pattern making. So for this tutorial, we'll be using a half circle. We're not going to be using full circle, meaning we're going to be folding this into two. If we are to use full circle, that means we're going to fold it again like this. That is meaning 4 times. But for this, we're just using half scale, so we're just going to fold this once like this. So first thing we have to do is to get the measurements of where we want the box pleats to be. So in my own case is on the waist. If your own is on the hips, is on the wherever you want it to be, take the measurements of that place, and that's where you're going to be adding it. For my own case, mine is on the waist, so I'm just going to take around my waist measurements like this. So as you can see, what I have is 12.5. So this is the measurement I'm going to be using. If you want yours to be here, you take it here. If you want yours to be here like this, anywhere you want to, you can do that. But for mine, it's on the waist, and what we have is 12.5, and I'm going to be working with that. So first, we'll be doing a little math before we continue. So what we got as the waist is 12.5. You would divide that by 3.14, 314. Yes, whatever you get. So let's divide that. 12.5 divided by 3.14, and we have 3.98. We'll approximate that to 4 because 8 is more than 5. So we're going to approximate that to 4. So this will be equals to approximately 4. So now this is the radius we are working with. This is the radius we are working with. So I'm going to take this radius to my pattern paper. Now this is the edge of my fabric. Remember, it's still on fold like this. So I'm going to take around that 4 inches. So now we have a radius. So this is called radius. Next, I'm going to take the measurements of my skirts. For you, whatever the length of what you are using is, you can use that. So for mine, the length I'm using is 11 inches. I'm going to add ½ inch for my joining allowance. So I'm going to add ½ inch, and it will be 11.5 to that. I will mark it here. You can decide to make your sewing allowance to be 1 inch, but I like to make mine ½ inch. It makes my work neater, as long as I can manage my sewing allowance. It's just a sewing allowance. Another way you can do this is for you to get 11.5, and then you measure from here to here, whatever you have. So I'm going to take from here to here, which is 15.5. So I will take 15.5 all the way around from this edge. So let me just do it like that. So I'm going to take 15.5. So I'll go ahead and cut this out. Now notice here I didn't add any sewing allowance here. You don't need to add sewing allowance on your radius. If you add sewing allowance on your radius, it will make the radius smaller than where you're going to be joining it to. So don't add sewing allowance to this place. I see some people adding sewing allowance. It makes the radius shorter. So I'm going to cut this out from here. Now again we're going to fold this into 4 again like this. This is not a serious thing, it's just that I want to have a smaller place to work on, because this particular one represents these 4 pieces. So whatever I have here can be replicated under here, so there is no need for me to leave this like this and work on it. This way is easier for me to do it. So next thing I'm going to do is to take the measurement of this place from here to here. I'm going to take the measurements. So you take the measurements like this. I'm using centimeter now because this is actually small. So you take like this. What I have here is 8.5. So I'm going to divide this 8.5 by 3. So 8.5 divided by 3. What I have is 2.83. I'm going to leave the 3 alone because it's not up to 5, so I'm going to be using 2.8. So I'm going to mark 2.8 here. So 2.8. So this is it. So now I'm going to mark this very well, and this is where our pattern notcher will come in. So I'm going to notch this point. I'm going to notch this. So I will open this and also notch it. I'm also going to open this place. Don't forget all these points. So I'm going to open this place and also notch it. So I have these notches like this. Can you guys see? Yes. So I'm going to fold this like this. Next, I'm going to add sewing allowance here. If you notice, I haven't added any sewing allowance. So whatever sewing allowance you're adding here is going to take care of the sewing allowance you're supposed to add here. So don't ever add sewing allowance up here. So I'm going to join something to this place to get my sewing allowance. You can make your sewing allowance to be 1 inch. You can make it to be ½ inch, whatever you feel like. Whatever is comfortable by you, you can use that as your sewing allowance. I like to do this so that it doesn't interfere with what I am doing here. If you add it here, it will interfere with your calculations here. So you better do this at the end of. Now remember to notch this place when you are cutting on your fabric. So let me just notch it so I don't forget when I'm cutting on my fabric. So I'm just going to notch here. That way when I am marking my pleats, I would stop here. I'll remember that I have a notch to start from. So now guys, it is time to cut on fabric. So the trick here guys, we are going to cut this on fabric and we're going to be cutting 3 pieces of this. That is where the main thing comes in. So we're going to be cutting this the same way we have folded this. We're going to fold this on our fabric and cut 3 pieces out from this. So let me cut mine and show you. Now this is my fabric. This is the fabric, main fabric. I'm using satin 1, 2, 3. And I have gone ahead to cut lining for it 1, 2, 3. So first of all, before I start marking the notches, I like to first of all work on the lower part. I'll just hem it first before I come to the notching part. So let me first of all join this. When I'm done, I'm going to be joining all the 3 pieces together, and I leave one side for the zipper allowance. So I'm going to join all these things in place before I start making the notches. As you can see, I'm done joining it. If you can see this is the inside. So this is the 3 pieces I'm telling you about. So what I usually do is, once now that I'm done, I'll now place the pattern paper on my fabric. Most times when you finish ironing it and everything, is always bigger than the pattern you have made. That's why I like to iron it first, do everything, and then come and check it before I put my notches. So this is it like this. I'm just going to place it. Remember, I had 1/2 inch sewing allowance all the way, so I've added all the sewing allowance. As you can see, all the excess, I'm going to trim off all that excess. So let me turn it this way for you to see the 1/2 inch. Can you see the 1/2 inch we added for the sewing allowance? So that is the only thing I took out and turned it the other way. I'm going to just cut off all these things before I notch it. So next I'm going to notch it. Remember, we started with 1/2 inch, so here I'm going to notch here, and then I notch all the remaining pieces. So now this one, remember to notch this last one. So I'm just going to put my hand in here and do the notch for that one. So this is it. So I have done this to all the other pieces. As you can see, you see the notches I have on them. So I'll go ahead and join this first before I start making the pleats. So I'm just going to go to my machine now and place this right side facing together. As you can see, I didn't add any hairstay. I didn't add any horsehair braid. I just left it like that. So you can decide to add yours if you want to. So I'll just go ahead and place this together, making sure they align, and I'm going to place it like this and sew it using the 1/2 inch that we have joined. So I'm going to sew it from there. If you see the notch, I'm going to sew it from here all the way. As you can see, I'm done joining the 3 pieces, the 3 of them. So the next thing I will do is to go ahead and iron this open. So I'm just going to open this like this. I'm going to go ahead and iron the same open. So I'll open this up and iron it. So this is it after you're ironing it. Can you see? Yeah, by the time we're done pleating this will not show again, it will be inside. So I'll go ahead and start from here. Can you see the first notch? You just pick this first notch and go over and pin it like this. So I'll pin it down, but if I'm working on my machine, if I'm doing it by myself, I just go to the machine and just do that myself. So it's a box pleat. I'm going to go over like this, pick the one of the notches and place it over like this. Can you see? So let me pin 1 or 2 places before I go to my machine. Okay, let me show you guys with the paper. I think so you're just going to go ahead and I will just fold this in so that it will be easy. So you just pick this and place it here, pick the other side and place it. That makes it a box. Can you guys see? Yeah, so you just go ahead and do that all on all of them. I'll do mine on my fabric and get back to you. Now this is it after pleating it. Can you guys see? So I'll just go ahead and add zipper and finish up the last pleats that I have. So I'm just going to go and do this, and that will be all for today's tutorial. I'll see you guys on my next video. Bye bye.
So many times that I miss you. I know how to call when I want to. Now you got way bigger issues.